Alright guys, welcome back to another InfoSec operator tutorial. In today's tutorial we are doing part 2 of hacking within our hacking lab. Today we're going to be taking a look at kind of scanning and seeing what we can do against the Metasploitable machine. We may do a couple things on the Metasploitable machine using Kali Linux. But huge thank you to you guys for putting me over 500 subscribers at the time of this recording. I honestly never ever thought that I would reach that point, so much appreciated. But without further ado guys, let's get into this tutorial, and please continue to subscribe and like the videos. Now let's get into it. So guys, what we want to do is start up the two machines that we set up in the last video, which is Metasploitable and Kali Linux. For those of you who don't know, Metasploitable is a web server machine, so we are simulating a hack on a web server. A web server typically holds websites and data and information, personal information, login credentials, etc., etc. So that's what we're going to be focusing on in this part 2 video. And the first thing that we are going to do is make sure that everything is running and working correctly, so that way the two can connect to each other. Now, to perform a hack, we want to make sure that we go into our settings on the Oracle VM VirtualBox application, go to our network and use a bridged adapter with your dual band wireless, or if you're wired, then go ahead and do that. Make sure you set that up on both the Kali Linux machine and Metasploitable, and we will be able to perform our hacking. So with that being done, the next thing would be to anytime that we are trying to find out an IP address of something, we can either ping the website that this server is holding, or we can, in this instance, just run ifconfig on our machine for Metasploitable. Also remember, logging into Metasploitable is simply msfadmin for both the username and password. And then Kali Linux, you set it up if you guys followed along, or you already had it set up, and just log into your Kali Linux machine. And then on Metasploitable, again, run ifconfig, and we can see our inet address. I can't highlight it, but we can see our inet address for my Metasploitable machine is 10.0.0.109. So we want to make sure that our Kali Linux machine can communicate with that web server. So what we're going to do is ping our address of the Metasploitable machine. So again, mine was 10.0.0.109. And we should get returns. And we are, so we just hit Control-C to end the ping, or it will just continuously keep pinging. Then the first part of hacking any kind of machine, whether it be a desktop computer, laptop, phone, web server, whatever you want to, whatever you're hacking, you want to gather information on that system. We want to know, is it vulnerable, which as you guys have learned, Metasploitable is purposely vulnerable, so we're going to find all kinds of things, but we want to learn how to do that. And then you want to learn, is there, can we put a backdoor in there? Can we telnet? Can we SSH to it? Can we whatever? Okay, and then can we upload, download, send files, etc., etc. We're going to look at all that, but right now we want to gather some information. So in order to do that, within Kali Linux terminal, you want to type in nmap. Well, you're probably going to want to do sudo nmap if you're not root user, and type in the address after. And this is just a general scan. This is not a safe scan. We're going to learn a little bit more about scanning. I believe I have an Nmap tutorial out there, but we'll learn a little more about scanning here in a moment. But let's just see what we get here. And I got to enter my password. And it's going to start an Nmap Scam, and we're going to see what is open and what is closed, and what can we do with those things. There's going to be a good bit of Googling and learning. Here we can see that we have FTP, File Transfer Protocol, open. We do have SSH open. We have Telnet open. We also got SMTP, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. We got the domain, we got the HTTP open, RPC bind, NetBIOS, SSN, Microsoft ES, exec, login, shell, registry. We got all kinds of things open here. Clearly, you know, clearly it's a vulnerable machine. So we've seen that Telnet Port was open on Metasploitable. Telnet is an old-fashioned version of remote connecting to a machine. A lot of times you are not going to see Telnet even available anymore on especially Windows machines, but on really most anything. It's just too easy to use against a target machine. So you're rarely going to see it, but out of curiosity and just to show each of you kind of how Telnet works, is we're going to remote access this Metasploitable server simply by typing in the command, wrong machine, in our Kali Linux terminal here. We are going to type in Telnet and then the address of our machine. Now, clearly we have gotten to what you can consider the front page of our Metasploitable machine, and since we know the password and everything to it, we can just simply log in from our Kali Linux machine. So MSF admin, and then again MSF admin, and we're in. Things that you can do is kind of the same commands that you could do within your Kali Linux machine in order to move around the system, especially the file system, would be to list what is on there. So here we see that there is one main file here that we can get into, and that is vulnerable. So we can just change the directory. Now remember, we're doing all of this from our Kali Linux machine, and nothing is happening over here on our Metasploitable. Now typically, you know, they would be alerted that somebody has logged into the machine from another machine, but you know, for the sake of fun and showing you guys this how this works, we're going to go ahead and do this. So we're going to change directory to vulnerable, and then we're in the vulnerable file system, and we can list what's in there. And then we can probably change directory again, and we're going to see what's in Samba, just for... So, not exactly sure what that really is, but we can go back to change directory to vulnerable again. We're back. Oh no, sorry, I'm still in the Samba. Okay, now we're out. So just do cd change directory without any directory specified. We're going to go back to cd vulnerable and list that again and see what we can find. Change directory into TikiWiki, see what that is, and we want to list what's in there. So there's a zip, and a zip file all in there. Now we could do an FTP and transfer that out, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, but we're not going to do that with this specific directory. We're just going to go back And we're going to look at one more. So we'll do cd back to vulnerable list, and then we're going to go to the MySQL SSL. So we'll do cd MySQL and -SSL and list what's in there. Again, there's some keys and a couple different files, but so that's what you can do with Telnet. You can start looking around and finding what that server is holding. We'll go into more detail after we're done just kind of poking and prodding here, and take a look at how to get those files out and whatnot. But Telnet, if it's available, can be a good way to maneuver around a vulnerable machine and figure out kind of what it's holding and what you're going to be trying to transfer out and finding out and all that personal information. So in order to exit the Telnet connection, you simply type in exit and you're back into the Kali Linux machine. Now remember, we did all of this from the Kali Linux machine against the Metasploitable server. Next thing that I want to show each of you is gaining access to Metasploitable as a root user and having complete control over the machine, not just some of the little files running on it. In order to do that, we are going to need to use Metasploit. Now, Metasploit is a program that is very well known for exploiting just about anything out there, and it's very very good at what it does. It has lots and lots and lots of ways to take control of a remote machine. In order to get into Metasploit, we just type in MSF, and I am on the wrong thing here, MSF console. Press enter and it will start the console. Now this is different from telnetting big time because we are directly hacking this machine and gaining full complete access to literally, I mean, down to like I said, the root user and everything on there, not just a specific small set of files. In order to perform this hack, we go into the MSF console and we want to run a specific command. So we want to go with a vulnerability that we kind of seen during our Nmap Scam, and that is going to be use exploit. And when you guys are looking up from that Nmap Scam, you can use Google and look and find this, but this is an FTP exploit, it looks like. So we're gonna use that FTP exploit. So use exploit /Unix /FTP / and then your the vulnerability that we discovered, which was VSF TPD 254, or excuse me, 234, and then backdoor. So it's a backdoor, and we are going to go and use it. And now what we can do next, since we're within that exploit, we need to specify where that exploit is going to go. So in order to do that, we want to show the options. So show options. And we see here that we got module options, and it's going to go down here, exploit target 0 automatic, and our host is what we really want to see. There is no set our host. we need to set that rhost. So in order to set our rhost, we want to simply set rhost and then the IP address of our Metasploitable machine, or whatever machine that you're attacking. So if we want to figure out did that actually work, we do the show options again, and we see now that we do have the rhost as our Metasploitable machine, with the R port as 21. If you ever want to change the port, 21 is an FTP port, by the way, but if you ever want to change the port, you just set R port. Use the command set R port, but we're not going to do that because it's already set, and then we just type in exploit, if I could spell exploit, and it should exploit the machine. Once in a while you may have to run it once or twice or maybe even 3 times for it to connect, depending on like how far away the machine is and how tough the machine is, I guess you could say, across the network. But here we found the shell, the command shell session 1 is opened, and now we can start typing in commands for that. A command that you would want to do in order to understand where you're at within the system would be kind of going through the file systems. So what we want to, and I do apologize, I have to look some of this up, but we can do the ID. Okay, so we see that we're root ID. We can do uname-a Linux Metasploitable 2.6.24 through 16 server number 1, and you can see like kind of what it's using, the i686 and GNU Linux. And then we want to list, do we have access to literally everything? And the answer is yes. That is the basics of how to hack the Metasploitable web server. Now we are going to, of course, take it a step further in tutorial number 3, but I just wanted to give you guys a little look at how to start getting into a system remotely from the Kali Linux system. And that's how it's done. So let's go on to the next tutorial, and I will see you guys there. Please do subscribe, give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, if you're learning, and definitely help support the channel. All I need is 1,000 subscribers now, and I can actually start doing this professionally. So guys, thank you for watching. InfoSec Operator out.